Hi, welcome to Wednesday, hump day, right? Uh, Start off with your blanket rolled up, kind of like a Tootsie Roll. I think we've done this before online. So it's just a matter of taking your blanket, rolling it up. You don't want any wrinkly spots because that's going to make you feel uncomfortable. And you'll roll it up, line it on your mat, and you'll take your sitting bones and rest them right up next to the roll. And you'll come down. Now, if your low back is tender, keep your feet on the floor. And you'll just run the blanket up the length of your spine. And you can just start off here, because this is a nice place to sort of open up the front of the body. Don't know what you've done today, but usually by the end of the day, we've done a lot of things in front of us. So it's nice to open up and find that space in the chest. And if you want to, rest your hands on your belly and just settle into the rhythm of your breath. That would be great. And close your eyes. Look at me, figure something out. I hope you're resting on your backs. Hi, Judy. Hi, Joyce. Hi, Rachel. Jennifer. Hi. Whew. Okay, gotta turn the sound down. Gotta turn my sound down. Okay, good. So I hope you're resting on your backs. And you're just sort of allowing yourself to melt the day away. I thought I'd start class. Well, first of all, let's do the normal thing that we always do, and that is start off with the studio announcements. Some big announcements, of course, coming your way. I know most of you should have gotten an email from Jolynn asking for you to fill out a survey about how you would like to start back at the studio. We're not jumping in full feet the 26th, the day that the governor said that we could do that, but we are anticipating opening, and we want to do it really mindfully. And we have you in mind, as always. So if you could really consider filling out this survey, sending an email, really giving us your feedback. What do you need from us in order to make you feel ready to come back to your hometown studio? We miss you guys. So the survey's in the mail. Thanks for staying connected with us. If you are in a position where you might want to make a donation to the studio, that would be fantastic, because although the teachers are all donating these classes, we want to keep our community going. The landlord wants us to pay rent. So there are lots of expenses that are just built in that we can't walk away from. So if you're in a place that you can make a donation, we would really appreciate it. If you're in a place where you can't make a donation, please don't feel guilty about that. We're here to serve. So just throwing that out there, and the link is on the page. So, all right. So I hope you're still resting on your back. I thought we would start off tonight's class with something from Deborah Adele. She wrote this book called The Yamas and the Niyamas, and we've read from it quite a few times at the studio for many years. Today I thought I'd talk about the word asteya. And roughly translated, the word asteya means non-stealing. And of course, from the names I've seen, none of you I would suspect are stealers. But I do think that we are in a time right now, if we start thinking of stealing in a slightly different way, oftentimes when we're teaching, I will say to you, hey, do what feels right for you. It's your practice. And if I were to try and impose what felt right to me onto your practice, then I would be stealing. Or if you would allow me to steal the energy out of your practice by doing something that does not serve you, then I would say, why? Why? This practice is about serving yourself so that you can serve others. Not serve yourself to be selfish, but actually to do what feels right to you, to not lie to yourself what feels good to you. So the word asteya, and the quote from Deborah that I would like to share with you is, when we compare ourselves to others, we either find ourselves lacking, which makes us feel cheated, or we find ourselves superior, which leaves us feeling ignorant and arrogant, I should say, arrogant. So just something to move through your practice as far as practicing in a way that's mindful for you. It's always what we encourage, and yet I'm the first to admit I don't always do that. Sometimes I like to weigh in on what other people think, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not always serving me that well. Here we go. So just notice what it feels like. Heart's open, this nice restorative pose. Sometimes it's nice to start off in a restorative pose. We'll work our way into some heat. And then roll your way off of the blanket. Take your blanket, and just because this is the way I like to roll, take your blanket and undo the roll. Fold it up into a nice little throne, whatever proportion it is that feels right to you. That's for later. Put it back behind you. For now, I'd like you to roll on your sides and bring your left arm underneath your head, so you're on your left side, and you'll kickstand your right foot in front of you. Place your right hand on the floor. Hug your left toes back towards your knees. And as you hug skin to muscle to bone, which is, I say that a lot because I want you to think about engaging the muscles of the leg. All right, now take a breath and float that left leg up and bring it back down. Bring the left leg up and then bring it back down. Now I'd like you to just sort of move with a pace that's, I'm not setting the pace. I'm not going to steal your pace, okay? I'm not going to steal your thunder. Go ahead and just lift that left leg up. And you may notice that you're using the muscles of the left leg, but you've also got to engage the core in order to really feel that up and down. You feel that right hip resting over the left. You're just sort of moving with the rhythm of your breath. And I don't know how many you've done, but it's enough. And we'll switch sides. So you just roll onto the opposite hip. Remember, sometimes I scoot around on the mat because I don't necessarily want you to see both sides. All right? So again, we'll line up with the head resting on the right arm. Now, if that doesn't feel good to you, you can always put your blanket under there. And then kickstand that left foot forward. Hug the toes back towards your knees. And again, engaging skin to muscle to bone. Start to float that right foot off the floor and bringing it back down nice and controlled. So we're just feeling the strength of the leg here, but we're also balancing the strength of the leg with the core. So you'll find that right leg floats up and down a lot easier. In fact, you could play with not using the core or hugging the muscle to bone, and it starts to feel weird because things are stealing from one another, right? It's not balanced. It's not really engaged. Something else is telling you how to move. Good. I hope you guys had a great Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Only 2 more days till the weekend. And I think it's supposed to be a nice weekend. All right. Whew. Come on up and find that nice blanket folded and sit up on the blanket. Hi, Judy, my really, really, really regular student these days. Rock a little bit from side to side. So you're sitting on the edge of the blanket. Your knees have come out wide. Okay, I'm going to turn my little page so I can keep track. Good. So your knees have come out wide, and you've got one ankle in front of the other. And you'll float your arms out to the side. Hug your belly towards your spine and float the arms up and overhead. Good, and then exhale, release your hands out wide. Inhale, float on the breath, reaching the arms up and overhead. And exhale, release. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, let them go. Spider walk your left fingertips out to the side. Anchor into your right hip. You can even take your right hand and push the hip down. And then from that rooting down into the right hip, float your right arm up. Reach up towards the ceiling. Soften your left elbow. Lean to your left. And then inhale, come up, and do the same thing on the opposite side. Anchor down into that left hip. Take a breath, roll the left shoulder open, reach the left arm up, and over the right ear. Inhale, come back up, switch sides. This time, tent the fingers, so you're really up high on the fingers. Again, we'll have to use our core to stay lifted as we reach through the right fingertips. And switch sides. Inhale, come back up. One more time, over to your left. Come back. Switch sides. Good. Inhale, come back. Take a breath. Reach your right arm up to the ceiling. Reach over to the opposite knee. Take your left hand behind your hip. Inhale and lengthen your spine, and from your belly, twist to your left. Feel your breath. Extend the spine long. As you exhale, soften into the space of your twist. Inhale, come back up and go the opposite way. All right, 2 more times. You decide the pace that feels right for you. Really letting your breath guide you. You feel your head resting at the top of the spine. You feel the softness in your face and your gaze. Maybe you're wrapping up on the 3rd round. If not, you'll catch up. Inhale and come all the way back up. Exhale and release your hands back down to the mat. take your blanket, scooch it up towards the front of your mat or to the side, out of the way, and come up into a standing pose. So when you come into a standing pose, remember you want your toes from the middle of the ankle to the second toe to run parallel. You can use your floorboard or your gaze, just, figure it out. In other words, we don't want one foot hitching and sending the hip uneven out to the side. All right, feet are balanced on the floor. Maybe lift your toes so that you're really resting on the soles of the feet. Engage your core, float the arms up, reach the arms up and overhead, soften your shoulders. Good, exhale, release your hands back down. Inhale, float on the breath. And exhale, release. We'll reach the arms up and overhead again. Now keep the arms up, melt the shoulders down. Engage the core. Reach your right palm up to the ceiling. Take your left hand towards the right wrist. Lean to your left. Anchor into that right foot. Stretch through the right fingertips. Inhale and come back. And let's go the opposite way. Inhale, come back up. We'll switch sides again. Keep the shoulders and the hips in line. Keep your jaw soft. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, go the opposite way. Good, and then inhale and come back up. Take your hands to the tops of the thighs. Let's find that half forward fold, extending long through the top of the head. Push into your feet. Inhale, rise up. Reach your arms up and overhead. Let's do that again. Hands to the tops of the thighs. Feet point forward. Elbows point towards the ceiling. So we want to keep the low back protected here. Sometimes if we jump into a deep forward fold too early, we'll pull on the hamstrings or the low back. Let the hamstrings and the low back work together. Push into your feet. Rise up. Reach your arms up and overhead, hinging at the hips, keeping with our theme. We don't want the hamstrings to steal from the low back or vice versa. All right, push down into your feet. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. Take your hands back to heart center. All right, so now we're going to come into a little bit of a pendulum swing with the leg, and we'll start with just a forward and back. So you'll shift your weight into your left foot. Put your hands to heart center, and then float the right foot. It's just going to come a little bit off the floor, right? And bring the right leg forward, and then swing it back. And it's this nice little back and forth rhythm. Again, hug skin to muscle to bone. Engage the core, or you might fall over. If you do, the mat will catch you. Sometimes you can even stand on a block. So if you have a block handy and you want to do that on the opposite side, step on the block and find that pendulum swing. Of course, you have to have faith that your block will hold you, which it will. Just your weight will hold the block. So as much as I'm swinging the leg, I'm also controlling the leg. It's not just like, it's balanced, right? Good. And then we'll come back down. Now we're going to pendulum swing the leg the opposite in front of the body, back and forth. And again, if you like to step on a block, I like to step on the block because it gives you a little clearance. But if you're not crazy about that sensation, don't, okay? Don't let me tell you what to do. You do what feels right to you. Hands to heart center. Bring that leg right up forward a little bit. And then just swing it from side to side. And again, it helps to have a drishti or a focal point. And I'm not going to tell you what pace your pendulum swings or how far it swings. You go to a place where you feel comfortable. And we'll switch sides. Left foot steps up on the block, hands to heart center, and bring that right foot forward and swing the leg. All right. And release. Or if you want to keep swinging, keep swinging. All right. Put Rock off to the side. Come into your half forward fold, extending long through the top of the head. And then bend your knees so much that your palms come down to the floor. Your hands are a little bit broader than your shoulders. Fingertips spread like rays of the sun. So you're in that scrunchy position. Now step back into a plank. And then from plank, using your core, using your legs, lift your hips up to the ceiling. Push them back to the wall behind you. Snuggling the shoulders onto the back. Feel the knees a little bit soft. Feel the elbows a little bent. And feel the strength of your breath moving through your torso. Bring your shoulders forward so that they come right over your wrist creases again. Lower down to your knees. You're still in the shape of a plank, but your knees are on the floor. Using the strength of your core and your arms and your legs. Nothing steals from the other, right? Bring your elbows next to your body, lower your chest halfway, and come all the way down. Bringing your hands next to your chest, inhale, lift up into a cobra. And just enjoy the breath. Make sure you keep your neck nice and soft by looking down the length of your nose. And make sure that the legs are just as engaged as the upper body. And we'll switch or make our way into a Sphinx pose. So if you like Cobra better and you want to stay in Cobra, you can do that. Otherwise, you'll bring your elbows right underneath your shoulders. Drag your hands back, pull your heart forward. Lifting your belly off the mat, extending long through the top of the head. Feeling your breath and noticing what you notice here in Sphinx pose. Bring your forehead down to the mat. Hands next to your chest. Inhale up into a plank and back into downward facing dog. Feeling the shoulders on the back. Legs work together. I really do love starting off with some nice down dogs. I'm pretty sure Lori's out there. She's like, I love doing down dogs too, Mary. That's what I'm here for. All right. Lower down to your knees. Bring your left foot forward to your left hand. All right, so now we're in a low lunge. Inhale your hands up to your hips. Push down into your hips again as you lift up into the shoulders. Reach the arms up. Soften the shoulders. And then exhale, open up the left arm out to the side. Come into a twist. Take the left arm up and overhead. We'll open up into that twist again. And then reach the left arm. Both arms come up and overhead. Third time, twist. Reach the left arm up and overhead. Soften the shoulders as you melt the heart open. And then bring your hands back down to the floor. Take your left knee back. Bring your right foot forward. Inhale, rise up into your low lunge. And again, we'll find that twist. We'll drop the right arm behind us. Roll the right arm up and overhead. Do it again. And a third time. Moving with your breath. Keeping that right knee over the ankle. Lifting the heart as you rise up into your low lunge. Bring your hands back down to the mat. Step back into a plank pose. Lift up into downward facing dog. Knees and elbows are a little bit soft. Legs are strong. Arms are strong. Shoulders are strong. Core is strong. There's this nice balance in your down dog. That's why it's considered a resting pose. It's because it's balanced. Now we'll bring the shoulders forward again. Lower down to the knees. And then keeping the elbows next to your body, lower your chest halfway down. Pull up into your cobra, tops of the feet, flat on the mat. Legs are energetic here. Look down the length of the nose. And then come up into a Sphinx pose. Bring your elbows underneath your shoulders, rock a little bit from side to side. Drag your hands back, isometrically pull your heart forward. Good. You're looking down the length of the nose, and you feel your belly lift off the mat. So there's some space in your low back. Now I'll offer you an option. You do it or you don't. It's up to you. Don't let me steal your practice. All right. We'll come into a forearm plank or some variation of it. So again, stay in Sphinx. Maybe you just want to keep your knees on the floor and lift your hips up. Feel the core. Or some of you may want to curl your toes under, bring your hips up off the floor, bring your knees off the floor, and then extend from your heels through to the top of the head, coming into this forearm plank. Now, as you do this, you want to breathe. And it's a good idea sometimes as you do this to just turn the corners of your mouth up. Yep, that's a smile. That's all we're doing. I'm doing this pose with you. So, yep, I know how long we're holding it. Did you guys miss me? All right, come all the way down. Take your hands next to your chest. How about this? Child's pose. Knees come wide, big toes come together. Send your hips heavy over your heels. Breathe and notice what you're noticing here. All right, from child's pose, come back into your low plank, and then your high plank, and then lift up into your downward facing dog. Bringing the hips up to the ceiling, snuggling the shoulders onto the back, lift your right leg, three-legged dog, and push into your right heel. Balance out your hips and your shoulders. Balance out the energy between your legs. So you're scissoring the legs towards each other. So even though they're not side by side, they are definitely working together. So are your arms. Now look to your right hand. Bend your right knee. Bring the right foot up to the right hand. Come up onto your fingertips. I hope everyone has their blocks nearby. All right, at least one block for now. All right, turn your left heel to the floor. Rise up, warrior two. Bring your shoulders right over your hips. Bring your right knee over your right ankle. Look out over your right hand. Melt the shoulders away from your ears. And settle into your warrior two. All right, straighten into your right leg. Keep your left hip where it is. Reach your right arm forward, 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 forward. Float your right hand to the block. Float your left shoulder over your right. Come up onto your right fingertips so you're lifting up from the right fingertips up through the left fingertips. Good. Full breath in, full breath out. Engage your core. Rise up, warrior two again. Bend into the right knee. Look over the right hand. All right, straighten into the right leg. Make your way into triangle pose again. Rise up to your warrior two. Let the weight of your shoulders drop down into your hips. Hug skin to muscle to bone. Straighten into the right leg. Keep the left hip there. Float the right hand forward. Release the right hand to the block. Maybe you want to drop the block. Maybe you liked where it was. We're not trying to get our hand to the floor, just so you know. All right, look down to the floor. Cartwheel your hand down to the floor. Turn your left heel up. Step your right foot back to meet your left. Plank pose, downward facing dog. Lift your left leg, three-legged dog. Scissor the legs together. Step the left foot or drag the left foot up to the left hand. Turn your right heel to the earth. Rise up, warrior two. So we'll do the same sequence on this side. Remember, slow flow. So we're just taking our time. First, we settle into the weight of our warrior two. We really feel it. We feel the legs working together. We're not going to rush and steal warrior two with our triangle pose, right? When we come to the second side, sometimes we think, oh, I know where she's going. Take your time here, just like we did on the other side. Straighten into the left leg. Reach, reach, reach with the left hand. Release the left hand to the block. Roll that right shoulder over the left. And again, the left hand isn't dumping down. It's lifting up, right? It's taking that energy from the floor and reaching it up towards the ceiling. All right, let's come back into warrior two. Feel the left knee weight bear over the ankle. Feel the shoulders weight bear over the hips. Let your gaze be soft as it looks out over that left hand. And we'll straighten into the left leg. Come into our second triangle. And again, as we start to open up, you may feel like you need to change your stance just a little bit, or you may want to drop that left hand a little bit, but we're not trying to touch the floor. And stay really nice and engaged. Inhale, float up. Come into your warrior two stance. Looking out over that left hand. Breathing and noticing. Hi, Joseanne. This is kind of fun looking at my phone. I can see who's on. All right, rise up. Make your way into triangle. All right, cartwheel your hands down to the earth. Turn your right heel up. Step your left foot back to meet the right. And come up into downward facing dog. And come forward into plank pose. Release down to your knees. Zip up the pants, right? So you feel the core engaged. Keep your elbows next to your body. Lower your heart halfway down. And come all the way through. Come up into cobra. Dragging the hands back, pulling the heart forward. Working equally through the legs, the shoulders, and the core. Keeping the neck soft. And maybe you'd like to come up into a Sphinx pose with me. Maybe you'd rather stay in cobra. Either way, stay nice and engaged. And then if you are in Sphinx pose, push into the tops of the feet. If you're in cobra, push into the tops of the feet. If you are in Sphinx pose, hug the shoulders onto the back. If you stayed in cobra, hug the shoulders onto the back. Either way, keep your neck nice and soft and long. Now, all those instructions apply if you'd like to come into a low forearm plank or the high forearm plank. Both are good options. Staying in Sphinx is also a good option. Your choice. All right. And we're just going to hold this long enough to notice. Maybe you can push into your heels a little bit. Maybe you can enjoy the strength of your shoulders on your back. Or feel the strength of your core. If we were in class, I might tell you a story. I could tell you a story, but really I haven't done that much that's exciting these days. I'll come up with something. You guys having a good day? Do you have a good dinner plan for tonight? Yep, we're just holding our forearm plank. All right, now let's meet in child's pose. Lower to your knees. Take the knees out wide. Push your hips over your heels. Surrender down into your child's pose. See, you may not have had as great of an appreciation for child's had you not been holding that forearm plank. Of course, maybe you weren't holding the forearm plank. Okay, let's come back into our low plank, and then high plank, and then lift up into downward facing dog. Lift your right leg, three-legged dog. Push into your right heel. Look to your right hand. Bring your right foot forward to your right hand. Come up onto your fingertips. Step your left foot about a foot forward. Place the sole of the foot on the floor. Bring your hands to your hips. Bring your right knee over your ankle. Oops, I went a little too far. So we want the feet to be railroaded, but the right knee should not be past the ankle. It's weight bearing over the ankle. The left hip needs to come forward so that the hips are square to the front of the mat, and the left toes are turned to about 10:30. Once you've found that foundation, engage your core. Flow your arms up for warrior one. Soften the shoulders, lift your heart. Breathe here and notice. Right now, exhale, take your hands through the center of your heart. You should have your blocks nearby. Bring them to the front of your mat. Take a breath. Push into your right foot, bring your left heel behind your left hip, come up onto your fingertips. Ooh, that was sneaky of me. All right, left heel pushes back. Both shoulders and hips are working together, so try not to let that left hip lift up. Let the hips and legs work together. Of course, you're at home, and if you'd rather do this next to a wall, grab your wall. Okay, now some of you may want to keep your hands on the blocks, but remember, you're not doing dumping the hands. You're lifting up onto the fingertips. Some of you may feel like bringing one hand or both hands next to your hips. And try and straighten from the left heel through the top of the head. Make sure you breathe here. Let that right leg get a little bit straighter, a little bit straighter, a little bit straighter. Let the left leg be straight. Legs are scissoring together. Exhale. Release your hands to the floor. Bend into the right knee. Bring the left foot down. The right knee comes over the ankles. Back to our warrior one. Okay, let's find warrior three again, same side. Hands to the blocks. Float the left heel up onto the fingertips. Toes point down, hips square and shoulders square. One hand comes next to the hips or both hands. Extend long so the neck is free. Hands to the blocks. Back to our warrior one. Heart's lifting, breath is steady. Ooh boy, let's do that a third time. Extending long through the top of the head. Hands float. Oh look, it's so much nicer that third time. Nobody told me I had to do it, I just did it. It's my practice, woo! And of course, if your hands fall, it's good, the blocks are there. All right, release the left foot. Push into your feet. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Palms to the earth, step back, plank pose. To downward facing dog. Let's lift the left leg, three-legged dog. Float the left foot up. Drag the left foot up. Got your block, step your right foot a little bit forward. Turn the toes out. Find your warrior one. Bring the hips square. So you'll need to railroad your feet. You don't want to be heel to heel. You'll fall over. See, that was what I was showing you. All right, here we are. Warrior one, arms come up and overhead. Shoulders stay soft. Keep breathing. Okay, we're going to find our warrior three. Push into your left foot. Reach for your blocks. Lift your right foot. Square your shoulders, your hips. Lengthen through the top of the head as you flex the toes back. Keep your hands on the blocks or maybe float your hands back next to your hips. Come back into your warrior one. Left knee over the ankle, hips square, heart lifts. Breathe here. Now remember, you're at home. You could stop at any point. You can go next to a wall to do this. You could do the same thing when we're back at the studio. All right, let's come into our warrior three again. Lift that right leg, extend long through the top of the head. Square off your hips and shoulders. Float your hands next to your hips. Use your core. Release back. Rise up. Warrior one. Breathe here and notice. Exhale, push into the left foot. Rise up. Warrior three. Squaring the hips and shoulders. Extending through the top of the head. All right, release the right foot. Bring your hands to the earth. Step back into plank pose. And back up into downward facing dog. Good. Pull forward into plank pose. Lower to your knees. Lower your chest all the way down. Come up into your cobra. Lifting the chest off the floor. Using the strength of your core. You can sort of use your hands as a gauge if you're using your core. Float your hands off the mat. Look down the length of the nose. And then come up into your Sphinx pose. Rock a little bit from side to side. Drag the hands back. Pull the heart forward. Ooh, class is going so fast tonight. Okay, talk about going fast. Let's do a forearm plank. All right, curl your toes under. Lift your hips up. Bring your head forward. Engaging the strength of the core. Hug your shoulders onto your back. And just enjoy this time in this space. I hope that you all send me like some hellos or something after class and let me know just how much you enjoy doing these poses, especially this one. This one's always it's like a classic. It's a big hit. People are like, could we do more forearm planks, Mary? I love those. I mean, I just feel the strength in my core. Oh, brother. I'm doing them with you, people. All right. We're also going to do child's pose. Knees come wide. Big toes kiss together. Let the weight of your hips come all the way over your heels. Let your head come down. So just in case you weren't using all core, really release the low back in that heavy child's pose. Okay, Let's walk the hands back and make our way down onto our backs. So you'll come down onto your backs, bring your feet forward. Tuck your shoulders underneath your chest. Take a breath here. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your shoulders on the floor. Take your hands down next to your hips. Take a breath here and allow the spine to sort of zip its way from the top of the spine all the way down the length of the spine. So sort of one vertebra at a time you release to the floor. Keep really slowly surrendering to the floor with the back. And when you start to feel your tailbone lift your hips off the floor. Bring your knees forward, take your heart back, coming into a bridge pose. As you push down into your feet and your shoulders and the back of the head, you feel your hips lifting up. And then you'll exhale and you'll slowly, just as slowly, work your way back down that zipper. One vertebra at a time. Until you find an arch in your low back. Take a breath. All right, let's do that again. Slowly begin at the top of your zipper, working to press the spine down towards the mat. So I've told all of you, I'm pretty sure, unless I don't know you. I tell students all the time, when I was a kid, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. And this was one of the exercises that the doctors had us do. Then we started doing yoga, and it turns out it's also good for yoga. All right, so we make our way till we get to the tailbone, then we lift the tailbone, reach the hips up towards the ceiling. Bridge pose. So until I started practicing yoga, I had chronic pain right in the spot where the curvature was, right in the thoracic spine. Once I started doing yoga, I broke up with my chiropractor. There's that nice sense of balance. So the muscles, okay, let's make our way down one vertebra at a time. I'll keep telling you the story. So the muscles in the back got strong enough to support and start to find a little more balance in my back. So the one side wasn't able to pull on the other, wasn't able to overdo its turn, right? Find the curve at the end. And we'll do that one more time. Start at the top of the spine. One vertebra at a time. Push your spine against the floor. And when you get down towards the tailbone, lift the tail, lift the hips, come into your bridge pose. Reach the knees forward, push the heart back. You can even tuck your shoulders under your chest and get a little more lift. Exhale, zip your way back down, but zip it slow, right? Taking your time. Letting go, letting go, letting go. That's going to require you to use your core. So you don't just flop your hips back down to the floor. Once you get all the way down, curve into the low back. Place your hands on your belly. Take a breath here. Gently push your low back down to the floor. And then on your inhale, you'll arch and lift your belly up towards your hands. Exhale, push the spine down to the floor. Push the belly down to the floor. When you've gone as far as you can go, release. So that was 2 at my pace. I'm not going to steal your pace. You do 3 more at your pace. turn back to neutral. Cross your right ankle onto your left knee. Push the right knee away. Push the left thigh away with the left hand. Mount your shoulders to the floor. Now engage the legs again. Hug the legs back towards the knees. Keep melting the shoulders. Place your arms out wide. Lift your hips. Move them to the right side of your mat. Take a breath and drop your right foot all the way over to the left side. Your left foot will come to the floor. Maybe you want to put a block under your left foot. Anchor that right shoulder to the floor. Take your left hand, place your left hand on the right knee. Push the left knee away. Push the right shoulder to the floor. Breathe into the space you're finding all along the right side of your body. Maybe you want to look over to your right hand. Get a little bit of stretch through the neck. Release, come back to center. And let's go the opposite side. So you've got your right foot on the floor. You'll place your left ankle on your right knee. Push your left knee away. Push your right thigh away. Flex your toes back towards your knees. Breathe and find the space. You melt the shoulders to the floor. And then we'll find the twist. Release your arms out into a T. Scoot your hips to the left side of the mat. Drop your left foot all the way to the floor on the right. Maybe place your right hand on the left knee so you can anchor into the left shoulder and breathe all through the left side of your body. Cindy, hi. Can't believe you're cute little Emma. She's so grown up. Inhale and come back to center. Undo the legs. Square yourselves up on your mat. Bring your right knee towards your right armpit. Hug in. Maybe place your right hand on the outside of your right leg. Reach the right foot up towards the ceiling. Rest that left hip on the floor. And release the right foot. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Hug that left knee in towards the left armpit. And of course, you know you can take your hand, rather than the outside of your foot, you can also place your hand on the outside of the left thigh, maybe on the calf, maybe on the foot. One side may feel different about this than the other. And release the left foot. Now, hug your knees into your chest, rock and find your way into that poor man's massage. Bringing the knees up to your chest will feel one way. Pushing the knees against your hands, straightening the arms, you'll feel it more. I feel it more in my shoulders and my sacrum. You'll feel it differently depending on where you put your knees as you rock from side to side. All right, take your hands, come into a full-on happy baby pose. Wherever you feel good with your hands, whether it's on the outside of your feet, the outside of your calves, or the outside of your thighs. Release. Bring your feet back down to the mat. So we'll come into Shavasana. Woohoo! You may want to reach for your blanket again. Roll up that Tootsie Roll and rest your spine along the Tootsie Roll. You may feel like you just want to do a traditional corpse pose. If you wore socks to your studio space, you may want to put those on because we did get a little bit warm, which means when we come into the stillness of Shavasana, we might get a little cold. So backs are good. You may want to put the blanket over you. You may want to put the blanket underneath your knees. I will invite you to come into the Shavasana that you define as what's right for you. Don't let me steal your Shavasana. As you come into a nice symmetrical Shavasana, whichever option that you chose, take a deep breath in and let it go. Feel the goodness of your mat beneath you. Breathe into all the space and possibilities around you. Take a full breath in and exhale it out. Again, to gently wiggle your fingers and your toes as you feel awareness returning to your body. And of course, you're in your own space, so if you prefer to stay in your Shavasana a little bit longer, I'll invite you to do that. Otherwise, taking your time, using your hands to guide you, make yourselves up into a seated pose. Keep your eyes closed or just gently looking down. Take in the goodness of your yoga practice. So again, the word asteya, one of the yamas. Asteya, or non-stealing, calls us to live with integrity and reciprocity. When we compare ourselves to others, we either find ourselves lacking, which makes us feel cheated, or we find ourselves superior, which leaves us feeling arrogant. Taking your time, let's bring our hands to heart center. hope this evening's practice, you are able to truly enjoy the goodness of your practice, that you were able to set your pace and to move with the rhythm of your breath. Not allowing me or anyone else to steal your practice. As always, I am so grateful to sit in the seat of the teacher. I'm so grateful when you reach out and say hello. And I look forward to the time when we can see one another again. Bowing the head to the heart with love and gratitude. Namaste. Thank you. Have a great evening.